Musical instruments. Stringed instruments. In a stringed instrument, music is produced by vibrating a string. Guitar, violin, veena, sitar. Some stringed instruments. Sound is produced by the vibrations of the stretched strings. Wind instruments. These musical instruments are generally made in the form of pipes. When we blow air into them, the column of air inside vibrates, producing a note. Flute, shehnai, saxophone, trumpet. Some wind instruments. Sound is produced by the vibrating column of air. Percussion instruments. In a percussion instrument, a vibrating skin or membrane produces a musical sound. Drum, tabla, dholak, mridangam are some examples of percussion instruments. Reed instruments. Musical instruments like harmonium and mouth organ are called reed instruments. Reed instruments contain metal reeds which produce sound when air is blown through them. Ghana vadya. Musical instruments like manjira, cymbals, jal tarang, the khatam, noot, mud pot and the kartal are simply beaten or struck to produce musical sound. Terms related to sound wave. Sound travels in the form of waves. Waves are characterized by three basic quantities, that is, frequency, amplitude and time period. Simple pendulum. A simple pendulum consists of a small metal ball called bob, suspended by a long thread from a rigid support, such that the bob is free to swing back and forth. The motion of the bob of a pendulum from one extreme position to the other extreme position and back is called one oscillation of the pendulum. Amplitude of the pendulum. The maximum displacement of the bob from its mean position on either side is called the amplitude of pendulum. Time period of the pendulum. The time taken by the bob of a pendulum to complete one oscillation is called the time period of the pendulum. The time taken by the bob of the pendulum to travel from extreme position B to C and back to B is called the time period of the pendulum. Frequency. The number of complete oscillations made by a simple pendulum in 1 second is called its frequency. The SI unit of frequency is Hertz, HZ, named in the honor of German physicist Heinrich R. Hertz. It is denoted by N or F. 1 Hertz is equal to total number of oscillations per second. That is, F is equal to 1 by T. If a simple pendulum makes 4 oscillations in 1 second, then its frequency will be 4 Hertz. Characteristics of sound. The characteristics of sound are pitch, loudness and quality. Pitch. Pitch is the characteristic of sound by which we can distinguish a shrill sound from a grave, hoarse sound, even though the two sounds have the same loudness. The pitch of a sound depends upon the frequency of vibration. The pitch of the sound produced by an object vibrating with a low frequency is low, and the sound is described as grave or flat sound. The pitch of the sound produced by an object vibrating with a high frequency is high, and the sound is described as shrill sound. Higher the frequency of the sound, higher is its pitch, and vice versa. The voice of children and ladies is shrill as compared to the voice of men. This is because children and women have short vocal cords, which therefore vibrate with a high frequency to produce high-pitched shrill voice, whereas men have large vocal cords, which vibrate with a low frequency to produce low-pitched grave or flat sound. When the skin of a tabla or the strings of a guitar are tightened, they give out a sound of higher pitch than when they are loose. In a flute, sound is produced by the vibrating column of air. The frequency of vibration is altered by closing the holes of a flute, which changes the length of the column of vibrating air. Loudness. Loudness is a characteristic of a sound by which a loud sound can be distinguished from a faint sound, even though both have the same pitch. It is measured accurately by amplitude of vibration of the sound source. It has been found that loudness of sound is directly proportional to the square of the amplitude of the vibration producing the sound. If we strike a drum softly, its skin vibrates with a smaller amplitude and a soft sound is produced. If we strike the same drum harder, its skin vibrates with a greater amplitude and a louder sound is produced. The loudness of sound is measured in a unit called decibel, dB. The following table gives some idea of the loudness of sound coming from various sources. Quality. It is the characteristic of a sound that enables us to distinguish between two sounds of the same pitch and loudness produced by two different sources. It depends upon the waveform of the sound. For example, we can recognize our family members by their voice without seeing them because the voice of each of them has a particular quality. Sound produced by humans. The sound is produced by the voice box or the larynx. Two ligaments called vocal cords are stretched across the voice box or larynx in such a way that it leaves a narrow slit between them for the passage of air. Men have longer vocal cords than women and children.
Excuse me, sir. I am Gladys.
And I am Gory.
Sir, the noise is hurting my ear.
Well, I am singing, not hurting.
I do love the drum.
I am drumming to the ear to see how we hear.
So, you're playing the drum to let us learn how the ear helps us to hear.
That was the plan, but
Find that is not so easy to do.
I don't think so.
Don't worry, as the ear is coming here to here.
Before we enter the ear, did you know that there are 3 parts to the ear?
We are able to hear sounds from our surroundings through our sensory organ called ear. When the sound propagating through air reaches our ear, we are able to hear it. Let us study the structure of the human ear and understand how does it enable us to hear sound. Our ear is divided into 3 parts. A. Outer ear or external ear. B. Middle ear. C. Inner ear. Outer ear. It consists of a flap-like cartilaginous structure called pinna, one on each side on the face. It collects sound waves. The pinna is further connected to the ear canal, at the end of which the eardrum is present. Eardrum or tympanic membrane is a stretched membrane that separates the outer ear from the middle ear. Middle ear. It consists of a chain of 3 bones, hammer, anvil, and stirrup. Hammer is connected to the eardrum, and the innermost bone or stirrup is connected to the inner ear. These three bones are named according to their shapes and are collectively called ossicles. Middle ear is connected to the throat through eustachian tube. The inner ear contains cochlea and semicircular canals. Cochlea is spirally coiled tube and looks like snail shell. It is filled with a fluid and has many hair cells inside it. The receptors send impulses through sensory neurons to the auditory nerve, which connects inner ear to the brain. Pinna collects sound waves from the surroundings and sends them to the eardrum through ear canal. When sound waves fall on the eardrum, they make the eardrum to vibrate. The three bones, hammer, anvil and stirrup, receive the vibrations from the eardrum and amplify them. Cochlea receives the amplified vibrations from three bones. The sensitive hair cells present in the cochlea convert them into nerve impulses. The nerve impulses are carried to the brain through auditory nerve. Brain decodes nerve impulses into specific sound.
No, our body has 2 ears. You will need them if you want to hear. Outer, middle, and inner ears. Sounds get big by the pinna and passes through the ear canal to the middle ear, and the sounds make the eardrum vibrate. Moving on, ossicles, ossicles, ossicles. Ossicles move the liquid in the cochlea. In our inner ear, there is tiny hair inside the cochlea. Tiny nerve sending signal to your brain, so you can hear, I can hear you.
Audible and inaudible sounds. Our ears do not respond to sound having frequency less than 20 Hz. The sound whose frequency lies between 20 Hz and 20,000 Hz, which we are able to hear, is called audible sound. So, the audible range of human ear is 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. Inaudible sounds having frequency less than 20 Hz are known as infrasonic sounds. Animals like whales and elephants also produce infrasonic sounds. Inaudible sounds having frequency more than 20,000 Hz are known as ultrasonic sounds. We cannot hear ultrasonic sounds too. Animals like dolphins, bats and porpoises produce ultrasonic sounds. Dogs can hear up to 25,000 Hz. There are special whistles known as Galton's whistle that can produce sounds of frequency more than 20,000 Hz. The owners of dogs can use these whistles to give signals to their dogs without the knowledge of any person located nearby. Noise and music. We hear different types of sounds around us. Sounds produced by machines in a factory. Loudspeakers during functions. Moving vehicles produce unpleasant effect to our ears and mind. Unwanted, unpleasant and very loud sounds are called noise. Long exposure to noise leads to serious health hazards. Sounds produced by musical instruments like sitar, piano and guitar produce pleasing effect to our ears and mind. Pleasant and soft sounds are called music. It does not cause any health hazards. Noise pollution. Noise from any source that causes disturbance or discomfort of any kind in the environment is called noise pollution. A sound of about 90 decibels and above, heard for a long time, causes noise pollution.